Welcome to the Living Ageless and Bold podcast. Each episode, I bring you amazing women who inspire, educate, and share their experiences and journeys along the way. So grab a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's relax and have some fun hearing what can be accomplished after 55. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Living Ageless and Bold. Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts, Al Pacino, Keanu Reeves, Hilary Swank, Bette Davis. Those are just some of the hundreds of actors that my guest Bonnie Cleverling has worked with over her nearly 5-decade career as a motion picture hairstylist. She worked on Hello Dolly, RoboCop, Ocean's 11, Erin Brockovich, Twilight Saga, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, over 120 films and TV series throughout her career. And she's with us today to talk about her career, her new book, Continuity, and how she left her mark on Hollywood. So welcome, Bonnie.
Oh, thanks, Christina, for having me.
Oh, this is where I get to geek out because especially I put this out to the universe. There's only one celebrity I have ever wanted to meet ever since my 20s, and that is Brad Pitt. And you are now one step closer for me, 6 degrees of separation. But no, I love it. It's just a different world. It's just fun. And I'm just so excited to hear how your career started. How did you get into first, how did you get into hairstyling? And then how did you get into Hollywood?
Well, I became a hairstylist in Florida. I was raised in Illinois, but I became a hairstylist and had a state license in Florida. And after working, then met my husband. We got married, and it was back in 1964, and we just decided to go to California. And
from Florida, you just packed up and went clear across the country.
Didn't know what we're going to do, or I knew that I would have to get a California state license to work in a salon, back then. So anyway, we lived in an apartment complex that had a lot of studio people, rips, electric, wardrobe designers, whatever. And so I was asked to come and have lunch with Carmen Dorigo. Was doing Petticoat Junction and the Beverly Hillbillies at the time.
And we all remember Petticoat Junction. Yes, for sure.
And so I met Carmen, and she picked up the phone and she called the head hairdresser at Fox Studios and said, "I just think I've met a girl that I think could be a real asset to our business." So through different interviews and everything, then I started out, of course, from scratch. I got my California license, but I just worked on big productions. So I did extras and so forth until I got to the point of taking my union test and so forth. And then
I didn't realize a hairstylist had to be union. That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, to work on union films and union television, which makes up all of it. And of course, back then, everything was done in Hollywood. Practically.
So how old were you when you all moved to California?
Okay, I was born in 41. I'm 84 today. 41 from 64 was 23.
21.
3. Yeah, 23. Yeah, 23.
I'm not 20. Yeah. Wow. So were you a little bit I would say, were you starstruck? You moved to Hollywood, you moved to California, and this woman just kind of says, "Oh, here, let me get you started." And all of a sudden you're on a set.
Yeah. It was just like at first helping out with extras and that. But then I started working more at MGM. And so I did the Girl from Uncle TV series with Stephanie Powers. And then I was assigned, because the department head at each studio would assign whatever girls for what movies or TV series. So then I got with Elvis and Nancy Sinatra, a movie called Speedway.
And so you met Elvis?
Oh, yeah. In fact, Nancy gave Priscilla a baby shower at Nancy's house, and I was invited. And at the time, I been having miscarriages and
Oh.
had infertility problems. So halfway through the shower, there's probably not more than 12, 15 women there at Nancy's. Nancy had me stand up and Priscilla. And I thought, what is she doing? And so she had me rub both of my hands on Priscilla's stomach, as it's an old Italian wise tale to bring you luck. That was the month I got pregnant. And I had my son, Jason.
Oh, I just got
Yeah.
goosebumps. Bonnie, what an amazing story.
And then I have in my book, Continuity by Body Clevering,
Yeah,
filled
we're
with
going to talk
pictures.
about that. I promise we'll
Yeah.
talk about that. Yeah.
And so in the book is a picture of the little bitty thank you note that Elvis and I want to thank you for the baby gift. And it was postmarked, handwritten, Memphis, and the address. And so that little note means a lot to me.
Wow. So
And
what was Elvis like?
oh, such a gentleman. I mean, really, but fun. And he and his buddies, that always were with him, always playing jokes on each other. And so I managed, and in my book tells a couple stories of jokes I played on Elvis. And then at the end, he went to Mary Keats, the head of MGM hair department, and asked if I would go on all his films. And I said to him, I can't, because at the time, I want to have a family. I don't want to be traveling
Yeah.
and so forth. And Elvis said to me, I wish I would have said more to others in my life too. And he gave me a hug.
You're going to make me cry in this. Wow. Wow. Okay. So then you get pregnant. And did you continue working after your son was born?
Yeah, I did. I did for a while, and then I had a miscarriage, and then I got pregnant with my daughter, and I had to be in bed the whole pregnancy, and she was 6 weeks premature, 3 pounds.
Wow. Oh.
And then we just decided to leave LA and then move. My husband had a job opportunity where my family lived in Indianapolis. So I left the business and didn't get
how
back
hard
in.
was that though? How hard? I mean, you're, especially at that age, you're kind of living the dream, but then you have the dream of the family, and
right.
Typical women, it's hard to,
we
want it all.
I know. And back then you didn't get it all either. And so
you had to choose.
After we moved to Indiana, then we were there for a while. Then the 80s, we moved. My husband's work took us to Dallas. Well, Dallas at the time in the 80s had a huge tax incentive for filmmaking.
Movies, yeah.
So not even thinking I'd get back in the business. So I was working. I mean, I did a few locations, but mostly everything was in Dallas. And the kids were at the age that, were in school all the time and whatever. So that took us. And then after the kids were in college, my husband and I said, let's go back to California. And so we went back to California, and I got reinstated in the union and start working again.
Was that difficult to get back into it since you'd been out of it for a while, or were your contacts still there that you could just kind of pick up the phone and I'm back?
Not that many contacts, but some. But I was fortunate enough to get my husband passed away when he was 55, and we were in Los Angeles. So this left the kids gone, and he's gone and everything. So it left me the opportunity to go ahead and travel if I had to, go on films. But I think when I did Jennifer Lopez in Out of Sight with George Clooney, after I got that done, I had been doing films with Steven Soderbergh, and after Out of Sight, I was planning to do another one with Steven. So I was going to be the department head on Erin Brockovich. And a few months before, I get a call, and this woman says, who did Jennifer's hair on Out of Sight? And I said, I did. And she said, well, I said, who are you? And she said, I'm representing a client that wanted to know. And I said, could you tell me who your client is? And they said, Julia Roberts. So that's how I start working with Julia. And I did, I think, something like 10 movies with Julia and starting with Erin Brockovich. So instead of department heading Erin Brockovich, I did just Julia exclusively. And that was my first film with her.
Wow. Is she as lovely as she seems?
Oh, yeah. And a
Yeah.
heart of gold and so down to earth.
We,
Just
my
so down to earth.
daughter, no, my son went to high school with a girl whose mother grew up with her, and very small little town in Georgia. The high school
Yeah.
class was really small. And she said that too. She was just a good human.
Yeah, she is down to earth. Yeah,
Wow. Oh,
love
how fun. So
Julia.
then you worked on all these movies with Julia.
Yep, did those, and I did with Hilary Swank. I did several with Hilary and Al Pacino, uh, and of course, one of my dear friends is Tim Allen. I did movies with him, and started with Santa Claus too, and so the list just goes on.
So I have to ask you. So my best friend, my childhood best friend, is a professional makeup artist for men. And same thing,
Okay.
celebrities. She's done Bruce Springsteen. She's done presidents. Again, waiting on Brad Pitt. It still hasn't happened. I get to carry the makeup case. But how, like, you think of men's hair, how much is there, for Tim Allen? What do you just comb and spray? Like what? I just find that just so fascinating, kind of like with her and the makeup.
Yeah.
That
Right. Well, with Tim, the first time I worked with Tim was Santa Claus 2. And it was really challenging for me because I had not worked with side by side with a special effects makeup artist because Tim had several looks and he had the rubber cap and head and the face, and I had to put a wig on that, and then different stages he had regular men's hair, but some with a little gray, some more natural. So it was a lot of different wigs and prosthetics that was interesting. And then like Brad, when I did Mr. and Mrs. Smith with him, he had done Troy shortly before he was going to start. And of course, he had all those braids and all that stuff. And so I had put together, I was going to meet with him, and I put together a whole scrapbook of different looks that because I know he always had a different look for every film. So I had put a scrapbook together of all things that he had not done. So I put it together. He comes in the makeup trailer. It's about 2 weeks before we're filming. And I looked and I looked again. And the night before, he had Jennifer's hairdresser just buzz his hair off. Oh, I mean, I had nothing then to show him or talk to him
right.
about. That was it.
I remember that look when he did it.
And he said to me, "Hey, Bon," he said, how fast does hair grow? And I said, Brad, about
enough.
a half an inch per month. So you'll probably get a quarter of inch by the time we start filming. So the thing was the buzz cut and keeping everything cleaned up around his ears and hairline. But I mean, it was, very simple for me. This
right.
Probably the simplest man's do. Nothing like, a lot of the others I've had.
I would have been like, oh, no, there's a hair out of place. You need to sit here a little bit longer. Let me work on that a little bit more.
Well, what I did is I did hot towels and massage his head and his shoulders. And so he got kind of that little treatment. But he is so kind and so nice. And my best friend in the makeup business, in my union, whatever, is his makeup artist, Jean Black. And Jean's a Texas girl, and I lived in Austin before I moved here in Indiana a few years back. And we did the Breaking Dawns, both Breaking Dawns with Kristen Stewart. And so she and I have worked on a few films, but we're like sisters. We're so close.
So fun. Like, what a fun career. What's your favorite memory of all the things you've done? Elvis, Brad, Hilary, Julia. Like, what's the one that, and we'll talk about the book in a minute, but what's the one that really stands out for you?
The one movie or the one
Or
person?
one just memory. One, it could be
Okay.
either or both.
Okay. I tell you what is I love to cook. I always have loved to cook. I love to entertain. And I just keep looking back how all my girls love to cook and bake. And I've got stories galore about things we baked, things we cooked. And like when I worked with Hillary and we went to Baton Rouge, she said, I want you to stay in the guest house while we're here 3 months because I want you to teach me how to make every pie. So yeah, weekends we'd be making pies. And uh and then Kristen Stewart, she said, I think we should bake cookies for the whole crew for because we would be doing a break during the Christmas holidays. So she said, well, we'll all do it in my kitchen. And so it was like the makeup artist, myself, and Kristen. And well, Kristen was busy the weekend we were going to do it. And now we're running out of time. So we ended up all just doing it in our own kitchens, dozens and dozens and dozens of cookies, but variety. We all picked two different types. And then about 5 days before, she said, let's put them in individual boxes with their name on it. And I said, Kristen, let's just put it on, a nice tray and you Merry Christmas and our names and send one to the production office. No, I think it'd be more personal. So I'm out trying to find 100 boxes and I find them at Pier 1. And then she wants us to sign each box. So this thing but it ended up, at the end of the day, it ended up fine. And so they're just things like that. And Julia, I think one of the biggest things was when I first met her. I don't know how it was brought up that she loved sausage biscuits and gravy. In fact, she
She's
said
a
on
good
Oprah,
Southern girl.
yep,
Yeah.
and she was on Oprah once, and Oprah kind of looks at her because she has such a fabulous body and said, and I understand you like sausage biscuits and gravy. And Julia says, oh, yeah, my friend Bonnie makes the best. And so I have in my book the recipe, but whenever we'd go on any locations, we'd always have the driver get the grocery list and what we'd have. So in case we wrapped early, we could eat something. So on one Sunday afternoon, all the actors had individual villas at the Bellagio for Ocean's 11. And so one Sunday afternoon, she says, you know what? We're going to be leaving pretty soon. Maybe we better make sausage biscuits and gravy for dinner. And I said, for dinner? And I said, okay, if we're going to do it, let's order a big fruit plate and something to make it look more like a dinner. And so we're in cooking and everything, and the door knocks, and it's Matt Damon. And he says, boy, something smells good in the hall. So we told him what it was. He said, oh, can I come? Well, then all of a sudden, at the big long dining room table of this villa, we've got Brad Pitt, we got Matt Damon, we got Clooney, we got Cheadle, and we're all eating that. So it became quite a thing in the industry, and the name of and my recipe kind of got out. So I used to make it I'd make it a Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Make it on the weekend and then bring it into Brad for breakfast one morning. And then
Wow.
I'd end up doing it at weddings when
Oh,
we'd have different weddings. I was up to, I think it was like 200 biscuits and 12 pounds of sausage or something
oh my.
ridiculous at one of their weddings. Yeah.
Wow. So how did you, because you went from Florida to California, Indiana, how'd you get into sausage biscuits and gravy?
Um, in Dallas, in Texas.
Oh, right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your book. because
Okay.
you're holding it. So the people listening can't see, but this is a
Right.
substantial book. People watching can see. It's on your lap and it's filling your entire lap. It's like a coffee table book. Yeah. So
Yeah, there's
continuity.
like 800 pictures in it, filled with pictures. And the continuity, and my son wrote the book, but with all our talks and talks and talks and, figuring everything out, just the continuity of life, too. It's not just and the continuity of film. For instance, let's say Julia or Hilary were filming outside in the wind or the rain or the snow or the sunshine and whatever the element is at that time with the weather. So I would always take the front, each side, and the back of even the men's hair, uh, and then mark the scene number and the date. So it might be 2 months or 3 months later that we show her walking in the door or sitting in the living room, maybe with a little half a minute time change there. So that hair had to look exactly alike. So if
It's
it had
so
gotten,
funny that you say that, because one of my things that I love to do in movies is, and there's one with Sarah Jessica Parker, another person I love. The movie she did with Matthew McConaughey.
oh,
Failure to launch. And there's a scene where her hair looks one way, and then the scene cuts to like another part of the room, and they come back and her hair keeps changing. Like you can tell they filmed this
oh,
part and this part. And then when they edited it, and like it looked like she just gotten it colored and done. So I was like, oh, but thinking about, right, these are probably
oh,
retakes, or so
oh,
somebody
yeah.
you obviously didn't work on that movie, Bonnie.
Yeah, that continuity is something. And I think one of the most difficult ones I ever did was Julia was in what was the film? America's Sweethearts with Catherine Zeta-Jones. Anyway, I get a call month or two after we wrap, and they said, Bonnie, we've got one little close-up we have to do with Julia in order to fit it all together. And so I said, well, her hair's a different length and color. They said, well, you're going to have someone build a wig. And so I said, well, how I'll, get it as close as I possibly can, that wig to look like a real hair. And I said, how much time is the cut? And like, is she walking in the door, out the door, whatever? They said, it's a close up and there's like a second or two. I mean, it had to be, that was one of the,
They couldn't find that in anything that they filmed, a 2-second close up of her.
it was just a continuation of that scene and the
Yeah.
talking and everything. So I did it, but I probably am the only one that knows that I didn't care for it that much, but I'm sure no one else even knew.
So why did you name the book Continuity?
Well, the continuity of the pictures, of the film and getting, always having that continuity flow with the whole film, but also the continuity of life. So it really is such a part of my life and how I try, and kept that continuity, how we do daily, if we're having children, if we're not, if we're husband, da, da, da. There's just the continuity of our lives that are so important, as is how important the continuity of filmmaking is. And it could be even the prop department where there's a scene that goes on and on with someone smoking a cigarette. Well, the amount of ashes, every time there's a cut, they have to have the cigarettes already burning to get exactly that amount of ashes on the end of that cigarette.
Wow.
So that's
You don't think
continuity.
about that.
No,
Wow.
not at all.
Okay, but your book has 800 pages. So,
Of pictures,
yeah.
800 pictures.
Oh, my goodness. All right, talk about some of the things that are in the book.
Okay. Well, there's about all the cooking, a lot of
What?
stuff about the cooking,
Okay, so beside
the
you made
different.
pies, you made sausage gravy.
Yep. And
What
the
else?
Christmas cookies.
Oh yeah.
And so there's stuff about the cooking in it. And then there's stories like when I worked on RoboCop and Peter Weller, and at the beginning, how he was quite difficult to work with. And then there was just a turn that we even thought maybe they're going to replace him just shortly into filming, but then it took a turn and he just became the nicest guy, nicest. And I think my relationship, I didn't actually do Bruce Willis's hair, but I worked on films with Bruce and also was with him in some occasions socially. It just breaks my heart what he's going through now. Just such a lovely man, just a lovely man. And just different relationships and different stories of different locations and so forth. And then the continuity of my life, how I grew up, and nothing to, I mean, there's a lot of things that weren't perfect as they are in most people's lives, but I was raped as a teenager. And my husband was an alcoholic and he ended up dying of cirrhosis of the liver. So just living with, but I mean, a functional alcoholic, work and everything, if you know anything about them. And okay, well, the thing is, that's what the book is, the continuity of life in what I got out of some of these negative things myself. So it's not just all the movie star stuff.
Yeah.
It's my life story.
Your lessons, life
Yep,
lessons.
exactly.
So you're 84 years old. I'm
Yes.
almost 60. I do not
Oh,
have a
bless your
lot
heart.
of, okay, but I do not have a lot of pictures. Like I'm thinking back, you would take a roll of film. You never knew what was on it. You would take the film. Remember, you took it to the drugstore. They would mail it
Right.
away. You would get it. So how in the world was it just something that was on these sets? There were always photographers, or you were
No,
taking pictures
these,
before it was a thing?
yeah. Well, the thing is, when I started way back in the 60s, there was a photographer, but we never got the film or the picture the next morning. So we had to really remember and know what that hair was like. But back then, they were dues. You didn't see the changes. I mean, now, oh, I've been doing films that there's maybe 10, 12, 15 different styles in the length of a 2-hour movie. Back then, it was pretty set. And if you look way back, like Rita Hayworth, Betty
Yeah.
Davis, they didn't change their hair.
No.
Yeah, but so that that taught me a lot. And then what we did got to the point where we could take our own pictures. So everything in here are my own pictures. I didn't have to get from the studios or ask someone permission or whatever. These are my own pictures that I would develop by Polaroid. And we
Okay.
had I went through, I think, 3 different types of Polaroids through the years. Then, when we start using our little 35 millimeter cameras, we had the little printers in the makeup trailer. So we could go in at
Uh,
lunchtime and print them out because if we were doing a continuous scene after
you had to
lunch to
know.
make it look, yeah, yeah. But I think to a lot of good, great memories are doing the Eclipse and Breaking Dawn, the Twilight movies, and working with Kristen. Of course, after that, I did Snow White and the Huntsman in London with Kristen. But the Twilight films, I don't know, they're just something different that I had ever worked on, and I didn't even understand at the beginning. But it was a joy to work on those.
And you're now fully retired. Or are
Yes,
you still,
except for
yeah,
this, well,
except for
except
the
for the
book.
book. Yeah,
What
yeah.
was the last film you worked on?
Well, the last haircut I did was Al Pacino. I was living in Austin, and Al was doing a little film in Austin that I wasn't available to do. And so I knew the hairstylist very well because I did the last year, Friday Night Lights, when I lived in
Oh,
Austin. And
such a good show and
so
movie.
the hairdresser called me and said, Al just was wondering, is there any way you could come out to check his hair and the cut because he thinks there's something that needs to be done. So I said, okay, I'll come out to the trailer. Well, it wasn't that big a deal, but he walked in the trailer and it was like old times. We must sat and talked for 45 minutes. What he was doing, I was doing, whatever. And then I just did a little snip here or there, and I took a curling iron. I said, "You just got to turn this and force it under." And so that was the last. I think the last time I touched an actor's hair.
Oh, and what a way to end your career,
Yeah. Oh,
right?
Al was great. I love Al.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Bonnie, such a storied career, so many fun stories. Where can people get your book?
It's going to be coming on Amazon, but for now, if they do Continuity by Bonnie Clevering.
Okay, and we'll have everything in the show notes so they can just click on it.
Okay. That's good.
Well, Bonnie, thank you for sharing all your stories with us. So fun. Everybody watching and listening, I know everyone's got a little bit of starstruck geek like me in them. So make sure you share this episode, and just what an amazing career, an amazing life you've had, the ups and the downs. And that's what your book is all about, is getting through and moving on. So I so appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh, Christina, thank you. And anytime, if you want to do something like this again, please feel free to call
I love it. I'm sure I have a million more questions. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening or for watching this episode of Living Ageless and Bold. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit subscribe. And if you like the episode, I hope that you will give us a great review. You can also head over to livingagelessandbold.com and sign up for information, inspiration, and exclusive opportunities for us, women over 55. Thanks for listening. And remember, no matter what you do, keep living ageless and bold.